Hi, this is Dr. Justina Kishka-Chevalier, and this video is on Predators Want to Love Not Kill in Nature continuation of the prior one, in which I described the feedback of delight, how to corroborate it in delight, in explicitness of declaration of romantic in nature love based on personal degree of desire, sexual one, and instinct to provide, protect, and have sex with that person, and then response in love and describing such as sweet or as an endearing and source of love and sexual desire in a female, as well as manifesting what I call sexual surrender, changes anatomic and physiologic one to enter in trust sexual surrender and have that person actually perform sexual act with a female prepared for it, and in also lowering of intellectual capacities, acceptance of provision of that male of goods and basic needs, which has to be combined in honesty with evaluation of degree of arousal, sexual arousal and sexual pleasure in as proximal as possible to an actual pregnancy, and that in orgasm then creates appreciation and self-esteem, mutual one, as well as lasting lifelong preference for sex with one another and love for children from that union. So for mind contact before that in that circuit of delight prevents such in two circumstances: when that is not pursued and corroborated in person, or when it is pursued and the rejections are fictitious, meaning the rejection of that female is not in aversion to that male, but she expects being pursued and loved, in fact alone dreaming about that male. So what we seek for pursuing a female as a man is aversion to explicitness of romantic and sexual serious pursuit, which is pelvic grit basically pursuit, visible one, or visible loudness and erections to perform sexual act, which means combined with sweetness and adoration for that woman, in aggression of that act and that manifestation, in mating or tribal displays of such, we seek for adoration, love, greatest from all other females, the closest it is to one-on-one realization that she's the source of such state, and she's wanted as most beautiful, most adored. We seek such impression, as opposed to all others. It is subjective, wantingly subjective impression, and that this is to have and win over life partner, children, and union, preferred one that is happy. Now, in absence of such aversion, we have to assume that sexual arousal in that woman, when one is harmed, imprisoned, or deprived of goods, is not strong enough based on a natural instinct to provide for potential fodder for the spouses, and divided into not strong enough because of pain index in the past that men pursued to harm or to limit freedom or to perform or tried to kill, or that man was never desired enough, usually those to coincide, but it is possibility that the pursuit to harm because of confusion or lack of education, that it can be forgiven. Not always it is the case, and that is when we decide if it is possible to restitute that relationship and align that couple as that couple's members or persons who are friends and team workers, or it is not possible, and that rejection because of lasting, permanent degree of lesser adoration and lesser desire is not possible to resolve. And so that is how we decide. Now I'm going to talk about common terms that need to be explained, present in general culture and DSM, and that video is especially for Mr. Samuel Vatkin for his contribution that I've studied since more or less 2011. That is because I have been interested in that topic from years of medical school, And I am very grateful for his contributions and hope to contribute not only to his well-being and sense of achievement, but also to common goal of elimination of violence and confusion, of a pursuit of reivindication by aggression that is not possible, and elimination of other mating partners by harming, which generates fear, and by proxy assumption that if similar characteristics such as being a female or if females being a male are present, that the person may pursue in harm, and know that that is impeding relationship, and appropriate is switched to a sexual relationship in assumption that it is mutual, and enabling loving kindness, accepting non-possibility in presence of persons more desired and more loved, of pursuit of other type of relationship that enables work, friendship, and other relationship. So we talk about that is also literature I did in an old book, the flamboyant syndrome, or infatuation with a person of significant social status that is sexual in nature and romantic in nature, in adoration that that person declares as unilateral. So that person that is adored and pursued as such has to first, if you are such person, analyze own mind content and seek for specific individual, known or not by name, or seek for known by name and known by in-person individual that impedes self-pursuit of real life relationship in degree of love-making and infatuation as described in videos prior to that, to know if restraining orders and impeding that relationship, expectation or of disproportionate love and attention prejudices actually living on relationship, pursuit of new relationships, and also it brings fear because that person is actually rejected while being loved aside, and leaves such a relationship, and one proposes then that it is unilateral to that person, and that person pursuing is being rejected. And so from the standpoint of the person who is married or in a relationship or is in some degree famous or occupied, that has to be realized that this is for own benefit to do such, and then if such is absent from mind, make then decisions to declare to that person in a phrase, from now on forward I do not love nor desire or want to have kids with specific person such and such, and I do not think that it is possible to change, having a stronger love and sexual as well as child pursuit, emotional in mind states toward one or more persons defined as suitors for such role, or in actual relationship that I am now having, in which the other one, because of immaturity, in kindness of or in normal functioning in work, depending on what it is, reads because of lack of experience such memory markers what is normal as a potential for love and sex. So look always as being famous or married for love making in mind with that person, the person's being source, and impediment by that person's presence, memory, and envisioning of life activities, and of also other sexual activity with other persons and such love. If another person needs to mimic or copy another person's looks, behaviors, or needs to you need to actually tune out that person that is present in front of you, to not to fantasize about someone else, then that is not a relationship that is primary. The primary is the one in mind, and rejecting it will not change how you feel about it. With time, hurting that person will create a reversal of roles and pursuit of such person, as opposed to the other way around, and that is then the culpable person is whoever blocked such from verification, or blocked the pursuit of ideal in reciprocity, relationship, and intensity, prejudicing less experienced persons. What to do when person is less experienced is to explain to youth that that person or persons, as a person of marital or age status or education, maturity or fame, that such person has all of right to be source as individual of adoration and of causing, as being specific physical as such individual, sexual arousal and pursuit of children and family and love lasting bond to one specific man, but that it is not the case in self, and present that person also with proofs that for sure that person sexually prefers someone else or will arrive at in romantic love at such realization, or reverse, in realization of romantic love, in a first impressions of sexuality as pleasure devoid of romanticism, will arrive at love being source of superior satisfaction and pleasure when it is combined with wanting that person for physical, mental and work capacities as sole potential parent for all pregnancies, as a dream come true as opposed to all others. So that was the flamboyant syndrome. We need to investigate in, for instance, forensics and law, who it is that has discrepancy between mind and real life in couples in different unions that prevent in real life from pursuit in mind, in fact lived as if real relationship. This is first video. I just want to make sure that I actually am recording it. Yes. Second term that is often used is stalker. Stalker is determined in pejorative terms as a person who brings upon the other fear because of that person's potential to harm, kill, or pursue sex that is unwanted. So we assume the same method from mind content to elaborate a plan of action, self first as a person, learn if that is a man, because it's the most common case. First, I wouldn't talk about the females. If that person, again in mind content, has most of the time during the day or during extensive periods of time priority over other real life relationships and in mind relationship, in envisioning of sexual activity in reciprocity as a source of superior, impossible to help love and sexual erotic pleasure. If such is the case, that person in reciprocity needs to be investigated about feeling the same. Know that it is in mind also in animal world that this is instinctively how animals pursue ideal partner, and pending such corroboration, then that stalking is in fact mating pursuit of a preferred by two sexual union to have children, as opposed to having only platonic relationship that is much more dangerous and prone to violence and jealousy, and also impeding, for instance, exposure of face or exposure of self or communication with others, because that relationship is not based in mutual sexual activity and it is lied about and based on flattery. And so then stalker becomes a loved person that is to be investigated for pursuit to have wanted sex if such is mind content. And such is then the attitude towards that person. If that person is scared of accusations because of being a worker, for instance, medical professional, police, a paramedic, worker in some sort of organizations with strict rules of sexual harassment, again, first analyze own wishes to have children and make love to that person to have these children, forming a bonding attachment in degree of own infatuation with that person. Then, regardless of what rational decision is, see how that happens if you're in a relationship when you try to have sex or love another person. If that is not aversion to that person that can sometimes lead to homicidal ideations, pending exposure to another partner, or violence towards that based on a rational decision partner, decide upon divorce or separation and pursuit of the other relationship, or parallel in intensity relationships, because first one was formed based on immature